Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Ooh, yes, please. Alright guys, it's time to start analyzing poetry. Now I know what you're thinking, man, analyzing poetry is so hard and difficult. Well, I've got good news for you, because there's two acronyms that are there to help you analyze poetry and help you understand it better. One of them is TPCASTT, and the other one is SOAP. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started talking about what these acronyms stand for. I'm going to go ahead and start by using the TPCASTT method. Now, TPCASTT is an acronym that stands for title, paraphrase, connotation, attitude, shift in attitude, title revisited, and then theme. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the title of the poem. In this case, we're going to be looking at Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Sonnet 18 isn't a very good title to go with, so we're just going to refer to it how most people refer to it as. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? So, let's look at that title. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? What do we think the poem's going to be about? Why do we think the poet titled the poem that way? So my first thoughts are that the poet is going to compare most likely his lover to a summer's day. And so we're going to have a lot of comparisons probably. Why did he pick a summer's day? Probably because a summer's day is super beautiful and amazing. So it's possible that he's going to talk about a lot of really beautiful things about summer's day and compare that to his lover. So after the title, then we move on to P, paraphrase. So this is the point where we actually read the poem. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Okay, so let's paraphrase this poem. And when we say paraphrase, we mean breaking down the poem line by line and giving a literal interpretation as to what's going on in it. A paraphrase should be about the same length as the actual original poem. So in this case, we could paraphrase this as, shall I compare you to a summer's day? You are more lovely and more constant. Rough winds shake the beloved buds of May, and summer is far too short. At times, the sun is too hot, or often goes behind the clouds, and everything beautiful sometime will lose its beauty by misfortune or by nature's planned out course. But your youth shall not fade, nor will you lose the beauty that you possess, nor will death claim you for his own, because in my eternal verse you will live forever. So long as there are people on this earth, so long will this poem live on, making you immortal. Alright, so that's kind of a literal interpretation as to what's going on in this poem. Okay, notice that the paraphrase is the same length as the actual poem. It should not be any shorter. That's a summary. Summaries are shorter. Paraphrases are about the same length. So now we move on to C, connotation. We're going to be looking for words in this poem that have a particular emotional impact, right, or strong emotional meaning. So in this case, near the beginning, we have lovely, temperate, rough winds, too short, eye of heaven, gold complexion, dimmed, fair, eternal summer, not lose possession of the fair, wanderest, shade, eternal, growest, breathe, lives, we have gives life. So now we're going to look at the attitude of the speaker towards the poem, or towards the topic of the poem. In this case is lover and summer. So you notice at the beginning there we have a lot of words that have negative connotations mixed with some positive connotations. Whereas at the end, we have words with mostly positive connotations. So attitude, you could say that the speaker's attitude is kind of mixed when it comes to summer, because although most people think that summer is great, he has some reservations behind that, because summer can also be somewhat negative. However, with his lover, he only has positive things to say about her. And that brings us into S, shift in attitude. Do we see any sort of shift here? Usually there's some sort of transition word. In this case, it's the word but. But thy eternal shall not fade. And this is the point of the poem where we switch from kind of a mixed attitude towards summer to a more completely positive attitude towards his lover. Then title revisited. Now that we know what the poem's about, let's go back to that title. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Now at first we thought that summer's days were great, and so that we'd be comparing it just flat out, it's great, you're great. But now that we've actually read the poem, we understand that we're taking something great, a summer's day, and we're also talking about the negative aspects of that. And saying that our lover is so much better than a summer's day. And then finally we have the last T, which stands for theme. What could be a theme of this poem? If you don't know the difference between topic and theme, I encourage you to check out a different YouTube video I made talking about the differences between them. I'll leave a link in the description. But what could be the theme of this poem be? Maybe a theme could be there's an airplane going overhead. I don't know if you can hear that. Through poetry, people can be immortalized. Okay, that could be a theme. Or that a human's beauty or a person's beauty can outstrip and outweigh the beauty of nature. So all of those could be considered themes. And that's how you TPCast a poem. It's a step-by-step process that allows you to break up the poem into smaller segments that allows you to interpret it better. Now let's go ahead and analyze this poem using the SOAPS acronym, which stands for speaker, occasion or situation, audience or history, purpose or meaning, and style. So, speaker, who is telling this story? What does the speaker think, feel, and say? They feel great love for their lover. And what does this poem show about the speaker? It shows that the speaker is very eloquent with words, that he is very much infatuated with his lover, and that he can make a lot of awesome comparisons between his lover and nature, in this case, summer specifically. Occasion, what's happening in this poem? What's the setting? In what ways is the situation significant? It is quite possible that it is during the middle of summer when this is being presented. Hence, shall I compare thee to one of these wonderful days? I shall. Great, because this day actually stinks and you're so much better than a summer day. Audience, who is the poem directed towards? In this case, obviously his lover. How does the time period when the poem was written affect this poem? Okay, so this is way back before the days of technology, okay? If we were writing this poem today, we would probably not say, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? We would probably say, shall I compare thee to high-speed Wi-Fi internet? Like if we were writing today, we could say, you know how amazing high-speed Wi-Fi is? Well, guess what? That has nothing on you. You're like 20 times more amazing than high-speed Wi-Fi internet. Purpose, meaning. What's the purpose or meaning of the poem? Describe the tone and feeling of the poem. Once again, we are comparing two amazing things. A summer's day, which most people agree is amazing, and his lover. And the purpose behind this poem is to let the lover know how much he cares for her, how much he thinks that she is awesome. By saying, you are more awesome, you are more incredible than even the most amazing summer day out there. And style, what kind of words does a poet use? It does rhyme. This is a Shakespearean sonnet, so it has a Shakespearean rhyme scheme. If you're curious to know more about rhyme scheme, you can look up other things. I'm not going to explain it in detail in this video. He uses a lot of metaphors, a lot of comparisons, a lot of similes in this poem. So that's kind of the SOAPS acronym. So hopefully that gets you a better understanding of how to use these acronyms with a specific example. I know that I really love specific examples when I'm trying to understand a new concept. So hopefully this video was useful for you in understanding how to analyze poetry better, and stay safe, and we will talk to you later.